What's up, creepers and geekers? Chris, the Atari Creep. How's everyone doing today? It's time to start work on my trash find, my Squier by Fender electronic guitar. If you didn't see the first video, the link will be down below. Maybe I'll put it as a suggestion at the end of this video if I remember to do it. But for those who don't know, I was driving home one day and I found a complete electric guitar in the trash, and it was functional as is, but just murdered with paint and just ugly and a lot of neglect. So I took it home, and I think I'm going to revive this. I don't have an actual plan yet, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But if you did see that video at the beginning, I put a little snippet of a video I did, God, in 2009, I think it was, of a guitar, and it had some spray paint on it, red, black, and red. I don't know if they were going for a pseudo Eddie Van Halen vibe or not, but if you remember seeing that, I want to show you something real quick. This is what it eventually became. I still have it. It was a Charvel CX290, and anyone who used to get the Musician's Friend catalogs will recognize the CX brand of guitars. And I did a lot of this with, like, say, spray paints and stuff like that, a lot of wet sanding. And this is just something I printed online. She had a Coca-Cola in her hand. But I'm really into pinups. And I thought that would be cool to put on here. But the reason I bring it up is because a lot of times when you have a project like this, you have a plan. Maybe you mull over it for a while, and then you finally come up with a grand plan, and hopefully it comes to fruition. If not, something good still comes out of it. That was this one. That is not this one at all. I am literally going into this project as blind as you can. I don't have a grand plan for this thing. I'm just going to let it evolve as it goes. And hopefully you'll be interested to watch the process. So I think what we're going to start with is I'm going to grab a couple sanding sponges, a couple sanding blocks I have here. And I'm going to level the paint as much as I can. If some of it wears down to the wood or the original finish, that's awesome. I'm going to keep this as a relic style guitar, but I want to make the finish a little bit more, not fit and, finish, neat and all that crap. But there's a lot of, like, blobs of paint everywhere. I want to remove that. And there's talks of maybe an Atari logo right here. I don't know yet. I don't know. So I think what we're first going to tackle is this pick guard. The pick guard itself also got painted, and you can kind of tell here, there's still some of the plastic covering that was on the pick guard from the factory, kind of a protective thing to keep it from getting scratched until you bring the sucker home. It's either that or someone put some kind of packing tape on it. But I'm going to peel that up, see what we're left with, and I may just hit that with the sanding sponge for a little bit. And then later on down the road, depending on what I want to do with the pick guard, whether I want to actually paint something on it, maybe even go for like a rusted metal look. I'm pretty good at doing that. I don't know. We'll see where we go. Let me see what I can get off of it, and then we'll move on to the body. So I got the majority of it off. There's still just a tiny little bit right here that's being a pain in the butt. But overall, I'm actually kind of digging the slight marbling in here. And if you really look, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but you can see the transition between where it was exposed and where the plastic protective covering was. That's pretty neat. I think I'm going to give this a quick wash in the sink and then see what we're left with. That turned out pretty interesting. I'm kind of digging this. So I'm just going to leave that be for now. So let's start playing around with the body here. For right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to level it out the best I can. Whatever comes off, comes off. What stays on, stays on. I got a couple of different sanding sponges here with varying degrees of aggression. I'm going to start with the most aggressive at first, not pressing down too hard. And I'm not going to bore you with all of that. But, I'll do a little bit here so it looks like I'm doing something on camera for you. But I'm not using a lot of pressure. And you can already start to see here that the raised areas are starting to become a little lighter. Well, maybe you can't because I don't use lighting. But either way, I'm going to play around with this for probably a good 18 weeks of sanding. And if we really need to, I do have a sander I can pull out. We can go outside and I can hit it with that. I would rather not do that. I literally just want to smooth this out. And again, if anything runs through to the original finish or even to the bare wood, I'm okay with that too. Because we are going to go for a still relic look, but with a little bit more finish, if you even want to call it that. All right, guys. So after maybe 20 minutes of sanding, I'm getting somewhere with this thing. I'm happy to see that the desired effect is coming through. I'm starting to see some of the original finish popping out. I still have quite a bit of more sanding to do on here. There's still a couple little chicken pox here and there that you may or may not be able to see. But there was a great big run right here. That it's so satisfying to watch that shit disappear. A lot of people hate sanding. I love it. I think it's so therapeutic. You just take your time and you do your thing with it. But it's turning out pretty much how not planned, because I'm not planning anything, but how I would like it to look. So I'm going to continue on the face here just for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to hit the back, which is a little more considerable. I mean, if you look right here, you can see there's a ton of chicken pox. But aside from that and some of these runs, there's really not much else to do back here. I think it looks fine. That's where the sticker was. I decided to peel it up. I left the residue on there. I'll clean it up maybe with some lighter fluid later on. But, something gets into the little stickiness and it becomes part of the whole aesthetic, then super duper. I'm not going to really concern myself with the edges of the guitar unless I see something somewhere that really, really bugs me. But for the most part, I don't see anything that's going to warrant a lot of attention. So I'm just going to continue with this. Now, seeing that this video, it's not really going to have much by way of instruction. It's going to be mostly talk and show and tell, that kind of a thing. While I'm sanding here, just kind of fine-tuning before I actually hit it with the palm sander, let me educate you. If you don't know much about electric guitars, as far as quality, build, playability, sound, and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say something very, very, very controversial to a lot of people who are guitar snobs. The problem is what I'm going to say is not only very true, but it's an idea that people don't subscribe to because they don't want to. Now, you take a guitar like these Fender style ones, okay? At the end of the day, all an electric guitar is an end table with strings, okay? Now, there are going to be variant degrees of build quality and, of course, material quality. But for the most part, and the reason I'm even saying this is because I did get one comment from a friend of mine saying, burn that import and just go and get yourself a USA guitar. And I guarantee you, when I'm done with this guitar, okay, I can go to any Guitar Center, blindfold you, put an American-made Strat and this one in your hand separately, and you won't be able to tell the difference. Of course, there'll be some slight differences as far as how it feels and tone and all that crap. That's just the nature of the beast. But particularly with these Fender-style guitars, they were built to be modular. You know what I mean? If you were to snap the neck, or maybe the neck went a little askew, a little corkscrew on you, you were able to just unbolt it and put a new one on. Same with anything on these guitars. Whereas, say, like the Gibsons of the time, and of course now, their necks are glued in. And it's not as user-friendly when it comes to repair and stuff like that. So, by nature, these guitars are kind of cheap in that respect, but they're really not. It's just a slab of wood. I'm guessing this is probably going to be 3 or 4 slabs of wood that were glued together and then cut. And the quality of the wood itself may not be the greatest, but it's still whatever wood it is. I'm going to guess it's going to be an alder, or maybe even like that cheaper stuff called Padawana. I don't know. If I think about it, I'll put the name of it there. You can try to figure out how to pronounce it. Ibanez uses it a lot. And that's another thing that's interesting to note. There are a lot of these import guitars, the Squiers, the Epiphones by Gibson, stuff like that, are all made in the same factory, ESP LTD models, all made in the same factory that Ibanez makes guitars in. So the quality, believe it or not, over the years have gotten a lot better for what they are. It's just the components themselves that are cheap. As long as you have this and a decent neck, and believe it or not, this one has a really nice neck for what it is. And you just swap out some of like the electronics and the hardware, like the tuners and stuff like that, you have yourself a really great guitar that looks good, sounds good, and can stand up with the big boys. And you don't have to spend $1,600, $2,000. And I think that's a ridiculous price for a Fender style guitar anyway, because of the nature in which how they're made and the idea of what they are. To me, I would have considered a Fender a budget guitar back in the day, though they weren't, you know. They were very popular for a reason. They had decent sound, but they were very user-friendly and they were very modular. If you wanted to change how it sounded, you just removed the pickguard, put new pickups in it. If you didn't like the neck, you bought a new neck. If you broke something on it, if you cracked the body, you could just replace the body, you know? And that's all I really wanted to say about that. A guitar, especially these Fender styles, the Strats, the Telecasters, the P basses, the jazz basses, they're end tables with strings on them. So you can get yourself a decent quality secondhand import, put a little bit of time and love into it, and I guarantee you'll be just as happy, if not more, with that than you would be, say, in buying an off-the-shelf Fender USA Stratocaster. All right, guys, I just got done sanding the body as much as I'm going to. It looks a little damp because I'm hitting it with a wet cloth to get rid of some of the dust, but at least that'll give you an idea if I buff it out what it could look like. And I'm really digging that. I think that's it's pretty cool. I wish there were a little bit of white in there. It would be look like a sky, a nice dark cloudy sky. But what can you do? But I hit it with both the palm sander and those sanding blocks I have, the sanding sponges. I was able to get rid of all the chicken pox back here, which I'm really happy about. These runs are only visual. They're not, you can't feel them to the touch. So we are good to go with that. And I really am happy with how this is looking. So that's it for the body for right now. Let's move on to the neck. So the main thing I want to focus on here, of course, is the headstock. I want to remove as much of this as I can without sanding too much. I don't want to go into the finish of the neck because I really don't feel like refinishing a neck. If I have to, I have to. If I can avoid it, I would prefer to. I will try to remove some of these squiggle marks from a marker. I'm pretty sure a magic eraser could probably help me with that, and that'll be no problem. Now, as far as the paint and stuff down here, I think I'm going to leave well enough alone with that. And as far as the fretboard, that's the only spot that has paint on it. So why not keep that? I mean, the neck joint is tight. It actually, believe it or not, despite the fact that this is milled out just a little bit and all kinds of goofy stuff, I mean, this is a pretty tight, there we go. Pretty tight neck joint. I mean, I can kind of pick up the guitar with it. I wouldn't trust it 100% as far as lifting the guitar up. But there are some neck joints where you can literally just grab the neck and pick up the guitar and it won't come apart. But this is tight enough for what we need, and I'm happy with this. So I will just leave the paint on there. A little bit of charm, a little bit of let's just not fuck with any of this. And that's that. So let me start playing around with the headstock, get back to you, and of course, clean all this blue dust off the table. I thought I cleaned the body better than that, but oh well. All right, so I got the headstock pretty much where I want it. It's a little more worn than I was anticipating, and I went a little heavy, as you can see over there by the hole there, a little heavy with the razor blade, but a quick little buff of that should take care of it. As far as the body is concerned, I do need to get a lighter grit sandpaper. I can't recall if I said that yet, so might as well say it again now. Just to get some of these swirl marks out. But the body is smooth. It really is smooth. It may not look it, and I'm really liking how this is coming out. I put the pickguard here just so you can get an idea what it looks like as a guitar body again. I am liking these things, but I may sand down the edges so it would be a nice solid transition from the black and blue to the white. I'm still debating on pickups and might even debate on the pickup configuration. So obviously if I change what kind of pickups, because you have, for those who don't know much about guitars, you have these single coils, and then you also have humbuckers, which are basically two of these stacked together but wound in opposite directions. So they avoid hum, hence their name, humbucker. I may maybe go with a hum single. I don't know yet. I'd really like to have a straight Strat. And I've been fighting putting a P90 here. Really fighting it. So we'll see. So I'm going to clean up the body a little bit more off camera. We don't need to fucking worry about the body much anymore. The neck, for the most part, has been taken care of. And the magic sponge took care of that marker in less than half a second. It was great. I just hit it like for literally like this. And it was all gone, so that was great. So guys, that's all I really have for you today. So I hope you're getting something out of this. If you don't know much about guitars, I hope you're at least enjoying this. I know, again, it's way off kilter from what I normally do, but I'm having a good time doing this and everything. So next, we got to concern ourselves with the frets, and of course, putting the damn thing together. To be perfectly honest with you, as it stands like this, it can be done. I could have this thing playing in about maybe 30 minutes, tops. When it comes to these style of guitars, it's just a matter of assembling it now. The only thing you have to truly worry about is how straight the neck and the body are in relation to each other. And making sure the neck is in such a place where the scale length is correct so you can tune it properly. You have this thing called intonation. If you don't know anything about any of that, and I'm going to assume that from the majority of you folks, because this isn't a guitar channel. This is a video game channel with other cool stuff like toys and movies. So I'm not talking down. I'm not trying to talk to you like you're dumb. I just have to assume, because of the nature of my channel, that the majority of you guys don't know much about guitar work. So if you want to know all about the scale lengths and intonation and all that crap, I'll give you a brief lesson on it in the next video. Go ahead and just leave that down in the comments below. As far as fret leveling and crowning, why you do that, we'll talk about that in the next video. Probably won't show you too much about it. It's a real simple idea. That's really all there is to it. So guys, I'm having so much fun doing this. It's been so long since I've actually worked on a guitar. I love it. It's in my soul. I just kind of let my soul go black for a little bit, you know? But I got this here, and we're almost ready to rock and roll. I just need to source out some parts for it. And that's really all there is to it. So guys, go ahead and leave feedback. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All feedback to the Creep is positive. Until next time, take care. Hope you're doing great. Creep it real.